we've got all these inputs. We're then understanding the marginal impact of investing in any given channel, maybe even any given tactic. That doesn't just make your investment inherently work better for you at that point. You have to then know what to do with it. And when you've got multiple locations, multiple service lines, providers, capacity data, you need to then know, how do I use those inputs plus what I know about the effective marginal ROI of my channels to then make the right choices.
Correct. So I would call those constraints. What you're going to see is if you just put in the inputs that we talked about, the model, if you said optimize the ROI and give me the most optimal ROI projection, it's probably going to be a lot greater ROI than you're getting today. And that is because there's no constraints that actually exist in the real world. Like, hey, I only have 3 providers at this location that I have to support. And even though digitally that location performs brilliantly, they can only see 30 patients a day, right? So there is a natural constraint.
Put it all there.
You can't just drive like 500 patients a week to that location because they can't support it. They can only see 150 of those patients, so the extra 350 don't get seen. So those are the constraints that you have to start putting onto the model to help it make better decisions at better levels, to take in the business need. But then it should be able to optimize with those constraints in mind. So it is essentially optimizing the spend based on those different business units and business needs inside of the overall portfolio of the business, right? If you are multi-location or if you are multi-service line. I think the only thing that you've got to think about is once you start segmenting the data, we see this with other issues with optimizing and all sorts of things. Once you really start segmenting the data down to a certain level,
like location,
the data might become less reliable. But yeah, you can put constraints in the model that will help you to deliver more real world scenarios that are achievable.
And should slicing it up by location not be possible given the effectiveness, still running MMM to understand your channel mix, and then you have a partner or someone internally who is thinking through those constraints. The constraint doesn't always have to be part of the model. What we found is it can be just as effective to have kind of a human then making those considerations.
Yeah, that's right. And I think also the other thing that human does and that we're doing on our side is they're evaluating the current effectiveness of those channels. And I think that's the other key piece with RevRx that we're bringing to the investment mix modeling approach is somebody who is evaluating how mature the channels are in the mix, how far through that optimization curve they are. And so essentially what else we can get out of them over time as we continue to test and optimize. And you can even put those things in the model, right? Like, so you can say, yeah, paid social, I'm getting a $50 cost per acquisition right now, but we've only just started running it. And based on our experience, we expect to be able to test and optimize to a point where we can lower that by 50%. So you can tell the model that actually 3 months from now, I'm expecting my acquisition cost on paid through the optimization that we make at Cardinal to be half of what it is today.